Well, it started out a bit wet, but thankfully, it was all smooth sailing from there. Hi there, my name is Kevin and I make honest, unsponsored, and to-the-point narrated video tours about hotels and flights all over the world. This is my 89th video, and today we've got a business class trip report on Japan Airlines from Saigon to Tokyo Haneda. I hope you'll stick around and join me for the trip. Welcome to monsoon season in Saigon, where things tend to escalate pretty quickly. If you'd like to know more information about my flight's full fare and my next 5 videos in queue, please check out the description below. From the center of the city, District 1 specifically, the airport is only 5 miles to the north, but during the rainy season, always plan enough time to get there because those 5 short miles could take 45 long minutes. Each time I come back to the international terminal in Saigon, I'm happy to see more and more passengers as things begin to return to normal throughout the country. I'm also very happy to see you here taking the time to watch my trip report, and would love it if you'd hit that like button and subscribe for 3 new videos each week. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and at the moment I'm trying to focus on making my content better. So if you have any suggestions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. And if you're feeling really generous, a link to my new Patreon will be in the description below soon. A big thank you in advance. Check-in was easy for business class or One World Elite passengers, with no one waiting in line. While one side of me does appreciate how apologetic and proactive JAL was about today's flight delay, I gotta say, it kinda falls a bit flat since the flight is late every single day. In fact, in April, May, and June combined, this particular flight was on time 6 times. Considering my next flight was re-timed to give me only 80 minutes in transit in Haneda, it was a bit more stressful than necessary. Anywho, at least the immigration lines were short and well staffed. Let's make our way to the lounge. As this gentleman considers his lounge-related life choices, let's head inside. The Saigonaise Lounge is what I think I'm going to start referring to as premium mediocre, meaning it's a nice and comfortable lounge, and by Vietnamese standards, one of the better outfitted ones in the country. That said, the food in every Vietnamese lounge leaves quite a bit to be desired. With some lounges in the airport still closed, it was also a lot busier than I've ever seen it, especially since all airlines, except essentially Vietnam Airlines, use it at the moment. Alright, let's head to the gate. Gate 26 to be exact, the last gate lounge, so it's a bit of a walk. I was, let's say, mildly surprised at how busy the flight turned out to be. Japan Airlines blocks an abnormally large number of seats in all cabins on this frequency, so it was tough to get a real feel for the load factor before getting to the gate. In fact, JAL blocks all of the window seats in business class on this flight for their elite members. Luckily, I was able to snag the last one at check-in. Based on the mix of passengers on board, and this being the Haneda flight, I think this is a very popular commuter flight for the Japanese firms that are in charge of building the yet-to-open metro in Saigon. While we wait for boarding to begin, let's take a look at today's stats. We'd be taking off a little over an hour late and heading up to 39,000 feet for our 5-hour sunrise journey up to Tokyo, where we'd be landing 40 minutes behind schedule. Even if I didn't get a window seat today, it was still a nice surprise, as typically this flight is operated by a 787-8 with a regional 222 layout in business class. The upgauge surely to haul a bit more cargo on tonight's 787-9. That said, if you look at the seat and say, yeah, standard reverse herringbone, I'm sorry to tell you, you'd be wrong. These new Sky Suite 3 cabins, as JAL calls them, are replacing some, hopefully not all, of the 787-9s with Apex suites. These seats are cramped, and you'll notice it the second that you step out of the aisle. To be clear, I love reverse herringbone seats. Just in the past few months, I've flown on American Super Diamond, British Airways Super Diamond with doors, Avianca's Zodiac Cirrus. Today's flight, though, was on a Zodiac Aries, designed specifically to increase density by up to 20%, and not that many airlines use them. They're just simply very cramped. Let's take a closer look. JAL has two versions, one with 28 seats and the other with 52 in business class. We are on the former. There aren't any seats to avoid really. The only missing windows is between row 5 and 6 and is behind the entertainment module anyway, so I was perfectly happy to be in 5 kilo tonight. Going in a bit closer, there are a few areas where the seat is smaller than most. From my own measurements, the seat itself is just 19.5 inches wide and a really short 17 inches deep, leaving your legs fatigued if you're taller. The seat tapers quite a bit at the shoulders though, at just 17 inches wide surrounded by a privacy shell. Just to put that into perspective, JAL's economy seats are actually over an inch wider based on their own numbers. The one measurement that sounds really good is the 78-inch bed, which honestly, yeah, it is really long. But the foot cubby tapers so much that most of the length isn't usable. On a 5-hour flight, the seat was fine for me, but if we were talking about a 12 or 13-hour flight, I'd need to consider my options. When boarding, a bottle of water, full menu, and amenity pouch were waiting at the side table. For the length of the flight, the pouch was really nice and something I do actually use on a daily basis now to hold my cinema mount. Next to the seat was a small compartment where you could find some very mediocre noise-canceling headphones. Below the cabinet was a universal outlet, a standard USB-A port, and a headphone jack. As JAL's 787s don't have individual air vents and their cabins are notoriously warm, the USB port was perfectly positioned for a mini fan, though actually the cabin was comfortable throughout most of the flight. A thin but soft blanket sporting their business class branding was also at the seat, along with a really strange pillow. Was not a fan of this one. I'm not sure if the pillowcase was too big or the pillow was too small, but it was just a bunch of extra fabric and it just didn't feel particularly fresh. Here's a better look at the foot cubby itself, just big enough to fit a small carry-on. One way that the seat tends to save space is by putting the electronics under the footrest. So if you're taller, you're not going to really be able to stretch out your legs fully like you'd expect in most reverse herringbone seats. The literature pockets and seat controls are located on the back of the seat shell in front of you, where the tray table also deploys from. The table wasn't especially large, but was sturdy and could be angled away so that you could escape to the restroom without packing everything away. There's more storage in the armrest which can be lowered. That bit of dust inside was truly the only that I saw on this otherwise immaculately clean aircraft. Finally, the seat also had a 4-page guide to the seat itself. Pushback finally came and a very literal safety video started rolling. Taxiing was fast and dark, and soon we were lining up for our departure, which would be to the west before a series of left-hand turns around the city pointing us north. The spool up is next. After takeoff, I checked out the IFE system. You could control it either from the handheld device or the touchscreen monitor. The handheld was pretty laggy though. On offer was a beautiful moving map, not the latest generation but close to it, and a wide selection of movies. Soon after takeoff, I believe the entire cabin, except for me, went to sleep. I was already on New York time, which meant that it was just about lunchtime. Always nice when jet lag prevention can afford you an extra meal free of charge. What was on offer though was disappointing. I'll show the full menu in a moment, but there was no designated meal service after takeoff. On the one hand, it makes absolutely perfect sense. because it was past midnight. On the other hand though, every fiber of my body expects a meal after takeoff, regardless of the time. I chose an udon and a sake. Having flown the same route a few months earlier on ANA, I was expecting a comparable noodle snack with, real noodles in a real bowl. JAL though sticks to pot noodles. I did enjoy the business class branded wet wipes though. A few hours and around 10 packs of rice crackers later, the cabin came to life, or at least my window did. Breakfast service began with, I'm sorry, but a truly disgusting apple juice that was proactively brought with the tablecloth. Do you remember those frozen canned Minute Maid concentrates from like the 80s? Yeah, it tasted like that. Feel free to pause and zoom in on the menu. Interesting to note that the drink menu on this flight was identical to my connecting flight to New York. We could look at that as a great feature on this flight, or I suppose a disappointment for the next. Before takeoff, my order was taken for the Japanese breakfast set, which came on a single tray, along with the tiniest plastic fork that I have no idea what I'd actually do with. The breakfast starters included assorted fresh fruit, sautéed burdock and carrot julienne with vegetable omelette and snow peas, a deep-fried shrimp cake, yam jelly, and delightfully crunchy Japanese pickles. That accompanied the main dish of deep-fried chicken simmered with egg, served with steamed rice and miso soup. Everything was tasty, but for a regional breakfast service, I think ANA has them beat. Beat for service as well, as everything here was just very polite and detailed as you'd expect it, but it stopped there. There was no personalization like I've experienced on ANA, but I am nitpicking. Both carrier service is leaps and bounds ahead of just about anything you'll find from the US or Europe. A quick trip to the standard no-window bathrooms revealed a pretty sparse setup. It was clean between every single use though. Our descent started shortly after breakfast service was wrapped up as we passed through multiple cloud layers before finally breaking out on a short final over Tokyo Bay. I do genuinely love flying and just staring out the window, so I think even the cloudiest of approaches are still beautiful, but I can only imagine how stunning this path would have been on a clear day with all of Tokyo before you. We touched down and started a bit of a lengthy taxi to the gate through what felt like a Boeing factory. 787s as far as you could see. Before landing, I asked the flight attendant if they had any information about my connecting flight to Kennedy, if she had any gate information for example. She didn't, but assured me that the ground crew would meet the aircraft. With the late arrival time, I had just 41 minutes to make my connection. As we pulled up to the gate, I had a sneaking suspicion that we were right next to the next aircraft, since it was the only 777 I'd seen on the long taxi, and sure enough, it was. As the doors opened, all passengers remained seated as they were instructed to do, and the flight attendant signaled to me and 2 other passengers to disembark first. We were led by 3 or 4 ground agents and passed off from one to the other on what my video timestamps can confirm was a 6-minute transit, before I was standing at the gate for my next flight, which was delayed. So what are we thinking? Overall, I was very happy with the flight despite the cramped seat. Nothing groundbreaking, but I think close to as good as you're going to get on any 5-hour regional flight. Now, on to the flip-flop score. Feel free to pause to take a closer look. I really do hope you enjoyed today's video and hope you'll subscribe for much more content to come. I'll see you on Sunday at the VOCO Orchard in Singapore.